Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, it is a blustery November day. It's November 8th. It's in the mid 40s, I think about 45 degrees. But we got a little bit of a wind blowing. I can tell you it's cold enough that the wind kind of blows right through you and definitely makes your fingers cold. But I have the DJI Mavic 3 Pro with me today, and I'm at a place called Bonneville Point, and I've never shown you this before, and in fact it's the first time I've ever been here. This is a spot along the Oregon Trail. A lot of people of a certain age used to play a game in school called the Oregon Trail video game where they try and get the settlers all the way to Oregon. Well, this is the spot along the Oregon Trail that was named after Captain Bonneville in the early 1800s, where they had their first overlook and they saw the Boise Valley and the Boise River and, you know, the woods and the trees down below. So it was a big deal to them. They had just come across the Snake River Plain, dusty, not a lot to eat, etc., and they got to this spot. So that's why this is significant. I'll tell you more about this after we get the drone in the area, but let's quit messing around. Let's get this drone in the air. I can show you a little bit of the facility here that's been put together by the local Kiwanis Club and some other organizations. And we'll take a look at the Oregon Trail, and there's just some other things to look at here. And then a good view of course, the Boise Valley. So let's quit messing around. Let's get this bird in the air. Okie dokie, we're all fired up and ready to go here. So I've got the drone all fired up, and I got a screen recorder going. Let's take a quick look at the safety menu like we always do. We're in bypass mode, normal bypass. Radar map is on, optimal return to home, 120 meter maximum height, max altitude, or auto return to home, excuse me. I had that way too, I got confused there. Let's move that back down to, I don't know, just to be on the safe side, we'll put it at 40 meters. And I was up in the mountains with this the last time, so we're going to drop that height down to max legal, 120. And it's not asking for any calibrations. We can take a quick look at the battery. It's looking good. So we're ready to go here. No reason not to take off. I see another car pulled up here. So you might see some people walking around, but anyway, let's start recording now. Hopefully you can see, yeah, you can see the drone down there. Let's do an auto takeoff on the app. And I'm going to go, it updated the home point. I'm going to go straight up 7 meters and give it a look at its home point. Okay, there we are at 6.9 meters. That ought to give it a good enough look. And let's just take a look around here. All you guys are seeing is sagebrush so far. Let me drop that camera down a little bit. And so you can see the little facility that was built here, but that is only part of the story. Let's go ahead and grab some altitude and take a look around. So this is the little facility itself, and I see we got a trail going around here. But my understanding is that that may or not be part of the Oregon Trail. But what you see down here, this trail that is indeed the Oregon Trail, and that a lot of wagons came down. I was reading there that they said in that period of time in the mid 1800s. 500,000 people came down the Oregon Trail. That is amazing. So let's just head out here a ways and take a look. And people still use this trail for hiking and biking and other uses. And I think you can even motorized. I think you could even go down there in your ATV or Jeep. I don't think that's prohibited at all. And in fact, when I first pulled up here, I saw a lady walking her dog. But you can imagine here, as we get some altitude, you can see Boise off in the distance there. And that had to really be encouraging. If you had just come across the Snake River Plain and were scrounging for food and water, and all of a sudden you saw a river, and yeah, that would be, and you know, deer and elk and beaver, and yeah, you'd have been happy to see that. So and then as we go down here, I think, in fact, I think I'm misleading you here. I think this, going along the bottom here, this may very well be the trail, the Oregon Trail. And you know what? I can't tell you that for sure, so I don't want to mislead anybody. I'm just showing you what I see here, and what you see down there is Lucky Peak Reservoir. You see the dam down there, and you see the Boise River. And that's what these guys saw. And a matter of fact, let's just stop right here, and let's zoom in. So I'm going to stop recording on the 1x camera, the wide angle camera, and we're starting recording again right now. Well, no. We're switching to the 3x. Now we're starting recording. So that gives you a better look. You guys have seen this before. I've flown drones there many times. So yeah, no, that lower trail is not it. The Oregon Trail goes along the top here. I know that for a fact now because I recognize the territory here. But you can better see on this 3x zoom camera the Boise River, etc., and how exciting that had to be to the to those wagon trains as they were coming through here, and they saw the trees and they saw the river, so they knew they could get fresh water, they knew they could fish, they knew they could find deer and wildlife to hunt and feed their families. So, a little bit about this area. It was discovered. Well, I say discovered. That's wrong. The Indians lived here for a long time, and it was a center of trade for them, and obviously the abundance of a valley like this. There were a number of Indians that lived along the Boise River, and sadly, as the story goes, with the rest of America, they ended up getting put on reservations and so forth. So that's not a happy story. But initially, in the very early 1800s, John Jacob Astor's Fur Company. It'll be on one of the pictures that I show you of the explanations up here in their little display. But he established a fur trading company, and one of his expeditions is who first kind of came into this valley and figured it out. And then, of course, in the 1830s or so, the Hudson's Bay Company and the fur traders came, and you know, another typical story. They literally trapped all the beaver in the area. So yeah, they would trap until all the beaver were gone, and then they'd move on to another area. But the Hudson's Bay Company and the early trappers are who kind of blazed the trail, so to speak, for the settlers that came later. So this is a pretty good shot here. Let me slowly yaw around, and you can see the valley, and again, you can see how the city just keeps moving out further and further. And mind you, we are on the 3x zoom camera, so you're getting a little different view. But I'm going to point the drone back towards us, and we'll get. We'll just bring it on back, and you can see. So the Snake River Plain is what you're looking at now, and that's what the early settlers were traveling through in their wagon trains. And so, you know, they really it was dry and dusty and there wasn't a lot for them. Okay, so we're kind of pointed back towards us, and we'll come back this way. And in fact, I'm going to throw this baby in sport mode, and let's kick it in gear here. And remember that turns OA off, and we're gonna drop down as we go. Let me get pointed right back towards us. You can see our home point there on the, if I've got the, I'll put the screen recording up here for a second so you can see the augmented reality that shows our home point. That's a handy thing. But then, you know, I like using, if you look down in the bottom left corner, you can see the, I call it the radar, but that attitude indicator will show you where you're at, and you know how the drone is tilted, etc. And that's what I like to use instead of the map. You don't really need the map. Yeah, another mountain biker just came through here, so they're coming up the trail and they're doing a big loop around this and going back. So yeah, pretty cool. And again, that is the Oregon Trail you're seeing down below there. Let's drop some altitude. I see some power lines there, so we're gonna stay well above those, and then we'll drop down a little bit further and kind of show you more of the area. But you know, the trappers came through, and then I believe it was in the 1830s when Captain Bonneville stood at this very point and declared that this is the Boise River Valley, and I think Le Boise, I believe, and that in French is the woods. So he saw the woods down there and was pretty darn excited after having crossed the Snake River Plain and nothing but sagebrush like you see. So I think I've told you this before, that home point augmented reality, when you're like right now, we're in the 3x zoom, so that is not going to be entirely accurate. And in fact, I see I was at negative altitude there, so I'm picking it up just a little bit to make sure that we come across here. And this is the point right here. So let's stop here for a second, and I'm going to stop recording. So you'll see the screen recording, and I'm going to go back to the 1x wide angle camera, so that you can kind of get a better depiction then of how far away we are. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back to normal mode. I realized I was in sport mode there. We didn't need to travel quite that fast. But once Captain Bonneville came through, and again, he was kind of following what the fur traders and the fur trappers and stuff did. And this is the facility that's built up here. We're just going to do a little orbit around that. That opened the way then for the wagon trains to go west. And, you know, people, they just came west to seek their fortune, right? And you can see the facility here, and I have pictures of all the displays in there, and I will, at the end of the video, I'll put all that up, and you can freeze frame on those and read all the history. But it is pretty interesting, and one of the things that I think is really cool about this is how, if you look here, the trail into there is just right through the sagebrush, so you're kind of surrounded by sagebrush as you move in there. So yeah, let's just move over the top of it a little bit here. See if we can show you this a little bit. And let me move around the other way, and you can see the original memorial, or I don't know if you'd call it an obelisk, that was built in 1927. It was a local Kiwanis club that built that in 1927 that you see right there. So let me see if I can get down a little bit and kind of get in on that a little. Use some of that excellent obstacle avoidance that this drone has, and I'm looking at the drone too. So there it is, right there. Let me point straight down, and you can see some of these. I don't think there's anybody in there, so you can see these plaques that they put up. And let me pick the camera up so you can see that. But I've got pictures of that. The drone's kind of blowing around here, so I'm going to move up, go a little higher. I don't want to get blown into one of those branches, and there's a lot of little branches there and so forth. So, and there's enough wind that we definitely don't want to do that. But anyway, let's pick that camera back up, and you can see the sagebrush here and so forth on the top of the point. But then the rest of the story. So then the fur company, the Hudson's Bay Company, pulled out, and of course the Hudson's Bay Company and the fur traders, they did a lot of business with the Indians, right? And so and you can see where I'm standing right there. And in fact, I'll show you this other sign here too. So as the Hudson Bay Company pulled out, of course, the settlers are coming through, and you know they wanted everything. So that's when things really kind of went bad for the indigenous Americans. That's when about the time that they rounded them up and put them on reservations. And this sign here, I'll put a picture of that up at the end of the video so you can look a little closer at it. But it just tells a little bit of the story of the Oregon Trail and other spots along the way here. But then, you know, from the mid 1800s on, or probably from the 1840s until the railroads came in, the Oregon Trail was a big thing, and that's how the city of Boise got established. As it was a waypoint along the way, Fort Boise. So I saw this out here. It looks like we got a microwave station. So I saw this when I was coming in. So I figure we ought to go out there just for the fun of it and take a look. We'll do an orbit around it. We're not going to get too close to it or anything, but we will do an orbit around it so you can see. Boy, look at this gully. A lot of water rushing down here. So this is the kind of stuff that if you were on a wagon train, you had to either get around or get over. Although I'm sure there were some antelope and so forth up here. We'll go out this way a little bit so you can kind of see a little bit of the Snake River Plain. So yeah, this looks like a kind of a, I don't know if it's a relay station or what it is. I'm sure it's part cell phone, although I can tell you my cell signal isn't that great out here, so evidently it's not T-Mobile. But those are definitely microwave stations there. So you know me, I see a tower, I have to do an orbit. So that's what we're doing. You know, these are probably, now that I think about it, I bet you these are probably TV station repeaters, etc. I would imagine. Don't know for certain, but you guys got to see them. Okay, so then the other thing, I guess, is to kind of give you just a look at the Snake River Plain. That's the road that I came in on that you see right there. But this is what what those wagon trains were having to move over the top of. Let's kick it into sport mode here, and we can show you this is the kind of territory that they had to come over, and it was pretty desolate, pretty darn desolate. Interesting country for sure. And you know, people see this kind of stuff and they think, well, that's what Idaho is. Well, that's not the case. There's the highway that I came in on as well. That goes back to the main interstate. Idaho, you know, we've got mountains, and there's obviously a lot of forest here too. Forest products industry was a big deal here. Definitely the Snake River Plain is part of it. So I just saw this turnaround here. I guess, is that what it is? Is it just a turnaround? Looks like it, huh? Well, this is interesting. I'll be darned, guys. I don't know what that is. It looks just like maybe an overlook or something. Oh, or is that, you know, I'm just looking at the little FPV screen here. Yeah, I'll be darned. I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely a turnaround. And there's where we're at over there on the other side of those cell phone towers. Okie dokie, let's do something here. Let's drop this guy down low, and let's put her into return to home. In fact, it's going to go into return to home on its own here in a second. And let's see how that augmented reality negotiates this this terrain. So we'll get down pretty low here. And I'm going to hit return to home on the app. Yeah, and it's telling me signal interference. Return to home. And yeah, so we lost signal because I got so low there, but it's down. Now we got it back, and we see that augmented reality green line. So we set the return to home altitude, I can't remember, at 35 or 40 meters. I think 40 meters. So I'm kind of anxious to see how high the drone decides it wants to go. Looks like it's going to go all the way up to 40 meters. And it's just doing a beeline right back to us. And we'll see if we get that, how much of a precision landing we get. I always enjoy challenging the technology and seeing what it'll do. But anyway, I'm not a very good historian, but you kind of heard a little bit of the story of Bonneville Point and the Oregon Trail, etc., and how this area was settled. And you got, that's the cool thing about drones, is doing this kind of exploring. You get the bird's eye view of it all. This kind of aerial footage is amazing. And looks like, you know, what you want to pay attention to, you saw down below there were some power lines, it looked like. So you definitely, even in return to home, pay attention to that stuff. And I'm dropping the camera down to get more of that rule of thirds. In fact, let's drop down and look into this ravine as we're coming over. We definitely want to see if there's anything to see down there. Not much. Let's pick that camera back up. A little bit of water down there, it looks like. Lots of sagebrush, huh? And coming right on back to us here. And I can hear the drone from here. And I'm looking at our home point, the augmented reality home point, and yeah, I don't know, it's moving closer to us, but it didn't look terribly accurate when I was looking at there on the screen. So this is me. I'm not going to drop the camera down anymore. Let's see, the drone should drop the camera down here, and you see it's dropping in altitude already. So let's see what it does. Let's see if it finds that landing pad. And you can see the H is in a different spot. I'll pause here because I don't want to land in a bush. And it looks like that's what it's going to do. So I hit the pause button. Discretion is the better part of valor. Let's back that drone up a little bit. Whoop, there we go. It wasn't taking the command there, and I definitely overshot it. Okay, we're going to go into C mode here. And I think maybe I was in sport mode there. I don't know. That might have affected things. And let me see if I can get our drop that camera straight down and get our shadow right over the landing pad. And I'm going to pull the left stick straight down, and let's see if we can get on the pad here. and it should pick up the camera. You'll see it on the Action 2 camera. There we did. We got right on the H, didn't we? Okay, let me get everything shut down and we'll do a quick conclusion. Hey, okay, the DJI Mavic 3 Pro, it was the perfect drone for this because we got out and we're able to use the 3x zoom on this. I didn't go into the 7x zoom. I don't think we really needed it. But you got to see a little bit about Bonneville Point. Now, I am no historian, and I am was kind of regurgitating what I was reading off of some of the signs here. But it is interesting how these areas got settled, and you know, how amazing it must have been if you were crossing and coming through the kind of the desolation of the high desert, and then you look down into that Boise Valley. You probably were pretty happy to see that. So in fact, let's pause right now, and I'm going to put the pictures in and show you all the signs that tell about Bonneville Point on the facility here. That again, it's on BLM land, and the local Boise Kiwanis Club and one of the schools and so forth helped put all this together. But we'll show you that right now. So this tells a little bit of the story of Bonneville Point here and the other spots along the Oregon Trail here that are sights to see. So if you wish, go ahead and freeze frame right here and you can take a look. I'm always stunned by people who decide to vandalize these kind of historical sites. So this sign tells us that this is part of the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, and the City of Boise and the Kiwanis Club, and looks like Trailwind Elementary helped put all this together. So thank you to all those organizations. So just walking into the interpretive center here. It's the first time I've been here. I like the way the sagebrush is right on the edge of the trail here. In fact, I'll drop the camera down a little low. It's almost a little tunnel through the sagebrush. I'm sure in the springtime it's pretty fragrant. So yeah, here's the interpretive site itself, and this is talking about Bonneville Point, that was originally an Indian trail and became known as the Oregon Trail. So I'll let you guys read that, but named after Captain Bonneville. So, and here, wow, I didn't realize this. I don't know, you can see that there. 1927 is when the Kiwanis Club dedicated this, and restored in 1956. And other charter member, Ora E. Strawn, evidently had a lot to do with it. And again in 2000, the Boise Kiwanis Club. So that's really cool, tells that story. Hey, anyway, I hope you found that interesting. I had a lot of fun on this flight. It's cool. My fingers are getting cold. I need to get back in the truck. So that's about it. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we'll see you on the next one. Bye now. The DJI Mavic 3 Pro. So much fun. See ya.